Imagine me thinking I had the day off. So Jalen Hurts and Tate Martell announced their new schools only a few hours apart. And I definitely got some thoughts and opinions on both, and I was gonna wait, but you know what? Let's go ahead and drop this and get this out there. Now keep in mind, I do have a full-fledged What Happened To video dropping at 4 p.m. Central Time. I'll tell y'all exactly who it is at the end of this video, but that's gonna still drop today at 4 p.m. Central, so make sure y'all are there. It's just a 2-video type of day. Let's get it. So first, let's talk about Jalen Hurts, since we've been talking about Tate a good bit over the last couple days. So Jalen announced that he's gonna be transferring to Oklahoma. I dropped a poll earlier this morning before the announcement. Didn't know it was coming today, but 3,000 of you guys were able to vote within a quick hour maybe that it was up, and the majority of y'all did choose Oklahoma, so boom, you was right. There's a bunch of things about the Oklahoma move that I love. There's a few things that, you know, could potentially be downsized. We'll discuss all of it in just a second. But before we do, I want to say real quick, if you're an Alabama fan, you should have nothing but love and respect for the boy Jalen Hurts, man. He fulfilled his obligation there. The man got a spot took on national TV. He handled it like a champ, still supported his teammates, stayed there another year, fought, tried to get his spot back, to no avail. And that fight that we all knew he really couldn't win outside of an injury cost him a year of eligibility. He could have been going to Oklahoma with 2 years of eligibility, but he's going with 1 year. Anyway, hindsight is 2020. Let's move forward. I mean, Jalen is a stand-up dude, and whether or not I agree with his decision to stay that extra year, doesn't matter. I respect it. I respect the dude, and I think he's gonna do well this year. So he's going to Oklahoma. Let's get the few negatives out of the way real quick. He's going into a situation where there were just 2 quarterbacks who lit the college football world on fire and won the Heisman Trophy. This means even if he has a good year, if it's not a good year by those standards, by the Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield standards, NFL guys are going to hold that against him. So not only is he going to be scrutinized on a week-by-week basis, it's going to be on a throw-by-throw basis. And one of the big things that Jalen has struggled with in the past has been his accuracy and his passing acumen overall. So he's now going to have what was at least once a major weakness for him under a microscope. And if he lights it up, obviously that can end up being a positive, but if it's just kind of neutral, it'll probably go on the negative side. The only other thing is not really a big deal, but let's say Jalen has an amazing year. The chances of him getting a Heisman Trophy are like super low. Like, what are the chances they're gonna give it to an Oklahoma quarterback 3 years in a row? Gonna be tough. On to the positives. Now, Jalen is a graduate transfer and is gonna be eligible to play immediately. There was a redshirt junior on the team, but it looks like he's transferring out. Cool. There's only 2 other scholarship quarterbacks that's gonna be on the roster. That's a redshirt freshman and then true freshman Spencer Rattler. You're talking about 5-star recruit. I watched some of them in the Elite 11, but now I want to know a little bit more. I'm gonna go and watch the rest of this season of Elite 11. I usually watch all of it, but for whatever reason I didn't watch the whole thing this year. I got a few more episodes. I'm gonna go and finish. Now I see some people on Twitter saying that, oh man, Jalen's gonna now have to compete with Spencer Rattler, and some people just saying, yo, Spencer Rattler is gonna start. And while I'm taking nothing away from Spencer Rattler, and while I think he is gonna also light the college football world on fire when he gets his opportunity to start, I don't think that's gonna be this year. Obvious reason being because they just brought Jalen in. Spencer has a redshirt year, so why not use it? But for the biggest reason, check out this excerpt from an article by Ryan Abner that was dropped last month. If Rattler arrived in January, he'd be right there in the mix for the starting quarterback spot next year. But Rattler's high school's high academic standards made that, while not an impossibility, an improbability. Here's a quote from Spencer's dad. "We thought about doing that, and it can be done. It would just take a Herculean effort to do it." Spencer's dad told his son he wanted him to enjoy his senior year as much as possible instead of piling on the stress by trying to catch up, saying that it wasn't the end of the world if he wasn't able to play the first year. So basically, Rattler's not gonna be there in the spring. He's a true freshman. He's not going to be there in the spring. Jalen Hurts will be there in the spring. He's a senior transfer. Okay, Jalen Hurts is going to start. Now, apparently, Lincoln Riley and coaching staff at some point told Spencer that they would not be bringing in a transfer quarterback. That was like when Justin Fields was on the market. But apparently, that's changed now that Jalen has announced that he's going there. I'm sure they spoke to the kid, and Jalen's a great teammate. He's not an early enrollee. His dad already said it wasn't a huge deal if he didn't play the first year. So, you know, it seems like it's going to be fine. Back to Jalen. Lincoln Riley is a phenomenal coach who can get the best out of Jalen Hurts' ability. If Jalen has a good year and shows improvement in his passing ability, I think he'll definitely pique some NFL scouts' interest, because I mean, he's already got the size, he's got the championship pedigree, and of course you want to do like Jalen Hurts in your locker room. So if he can improve that accuracy and show that over the course of this year, hey man, he worked on it at Bama last year. He's been putting in work. He looked good when he did play, obviously very limited snaps last year. So he's gonna have an opportunity here, man. It's exciting. This is my favorite thing about sports. I follow the stories, bro. This is a phenomenal story. It's just like a movie. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. What kind of year is Jalen Hurts gonna have? Moving on. Now, Tate Martell announced last night that he would be transferring to Miami. He's going to be reuniting with some of his old high school teammates. Now, Tate's situation is a little bit more murky because we don't know if he's going to have to sit out a year or not. Now, he's already got a lawyer making his case to the NCAA about granting him a hardship waiver so that he can play immediately. Apparently, his main argument is going to be Urban Meyer's sudden retirement. And according to an article by 24/7 Sports, his chances are better than you'd think. So we have to see what happens with that. With that being said, we actually may never get to that point. According to another article on Buckeye Extra, apparently Tate is scheduled to graduate in May. Now that's a pretty quick graduation, but if that's true, then he obviously wouldn't need a waiver. He'd be eligible to play immediately. But even still, we're talking about May, which means he'd miss spring training at Miami. And obviously he's a brand new quarterback, brand new school, brand new team, you know, coming in to be the starter and miss spring training. That's not ideal. So we have to see what happens with that. Now, Tate's been getting bashed on social media, and rightfully so. He came out and made a bunch of boisterous statements about no quarterback could come in and just take his spot and all that type of stuff, and then boom, transfers immediately. The optics of that looks bad, but at the same time, I actually think it's the right choice. Him talking crazy before is just emotion and probably a little bit of a defense mechanism trying to get Justin Fields to not come there. This decision to transfer is one that feels a lot more thought out. We all know that if he stayed at Ohio State, best case scenario, barring an injury to Justin Fields, would be them splitting time. There was literally no way. There's no way, bruh. Tate Martell is going to be the full-time starter while Justin Fields sat on the bench and didn't play at all. It just wasn't going to happen. There's no version of reality, barring an injury, where that happened. So Tate decided to go ahead and transfer. Personally, I think this move is great for both guys. Now we get to see them actually get full-time reps, bro. I do not want either of these very exciting, very talented quarterbacks sitting on a bench or splitting time. I would much rather them be on different teams, both starting, giving me more entertainment to look at. That's just me personally, not to mention most of y'all know, if you've been following me since the NCAA days, I hate two quarterback systems. I despise them. Now we got Kelly B at Mizzou, Justin Fields at Ohio State, Tate Martell at Miami, and Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. Crazy QB shuffle. I know some traditionalists hate this stuff. I love it. It can get a little bit messy, but man, just so many storylines. There's so much stuff to watch, and you know, it's gonna make college football that much more exciting. Honestly, that's the way I see it. Anyway, man, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Y'all let me know in the comments, who is going to have the best year? What quarterback going to have the best year with their new team? If you're brand new here, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and at 4 p.m. Central Time, don't forget to check out what happened to Speedy Noyle. I'm going to holler at y'all later today.